everyone. Welcome back to Signals. I'm your host, Gwen Chen. Today, joining me is Nishanth Kadiyala. He is Principal Product Manager for Advertising Creative Platform at Walmart Connect.
Thank you so much, Gwen. It's so good to see you after, 10 years? It's my pleasure to be here.
Yeah. For the audience who not aware, we went to the same B school. That's where we met. You obviously had a very interesting path from software engineering all the way right now to product manager. What's your favorite role?
A good question. I think if you asked me about 3-4 years ago, it would have been like, oh, my heart craves for product marketing. I transitioned to product management because I thought it'll be more cooler. And then I realized how much I was missing product marketing. But over the last 3-4 years, I would say I figured out a way to build the right product, but also partner with product marketing and get all the fun that I used to have when I was a product marketer. So one big difference between product marketing and management is that in both the cases, obviously you're selling to the consumer, thinking about the end user in mind. However, with product marketing, you're constrained by the final product that's already been built. You have to sell what's been built. Sometimes the product management team is paying attention to what's the most important thing that you feel like is important for selling. In other cases, you can't. So you have to just do the best with what you have. Versus with product management, now I have the luxury of thinking in terms of, hey, here is a marketing lens, sales lens, advertiser lens, or whoever else is in the ecosystem, and build a product that's able to be sold, but also add value to the user. And in the process, I also get to partner with the product marketing team. So I probably am annoying them once in a while with all my insights on, oh, why don't we try this tactic? But it gives me that control on what's being built, which is really fascinating.
It's a matter of whichever you're comfortable with. Are you comfortable with dealing with more and more uncertainties? And are you passionate about shaping what's unknown and as well as collaborating with a lot of stakeholders to make it happen?
Yeah, so I take this example of like for people who are thinking about product management versus product marketing as a career choice, it's about a chef who's trying to work with all the sous chefs to create an ingredient in the background of a kitchen, right? They're not necessarily making the dish, but then they're working with different people to make the dish, right? So product management is about staying very close to, okay, what is that thing? What is that emotion that you're trying to evoke in the customer? And how do you get all the different recipes together? How do you play towards the strengths of your sous chefs? And on the flip side, you also need someone in between who's able to translate the dish to someone who's in the market for a dish, right? Say, hey, I'm hungry. I don't know what I want. You need a product market in between to say, okay, given what you are and what you're looking for, time of the day, this is the best dish you can order for yourself, right? So that coordination between product management and product marketing is super interesting for me. It has always been. And for people who are a little bit more comfortable with technology, but are also patient with the experimentation phase, right? As a product manager, you will have to wait a lot longer to get feedback from the tactic that you have in mind. But as a marketer, you might have a single product, but you could have 10, 15 hypotheses. It could be as simple as I want to test this messaging, and you can take a channel of emails, surveys, blogging, and see what works the best, right?
Yeah.
So I feel like depending on your strengths and your appetite for experimentation and your patience levels in terms of like getting gratified from the market reaction, you can pick either way. But
Yeah.
they're like product doppelgangers. They can easily swap between the two. A PMM would make a great PM, and I would think a PM would also be a great PMM.
Yeah, a lot of skill sets are transferable. So I want to ask a question about your most recent role as a principal product manager at Walmart. So what made you to change your job and to join Walmart?
Money, of course. I'm just kidding.
Yes, why not?
So no, I'm joking, half joking, I would say. But at a high level, I was looking for a place that would give me the kind of scale I was looking for. So I was at AT&T before that, and I knew I wanted to have the same kind of scale because that a very minute change in the larger ecosystem, even at like 0.01 percentage improvement, that translates to millions and billions of dollars, right? So I understood the power of working for a large company, but along the way also saw the up and coming trends around retail media. So the biggest dynamics at that point in time when I was picking this retail media option was that there was the deprecation of cookies and many other signals that were going out of equation because of the Apple's privacy changes where you cannot do cross-app monitoring. What it meant was first-party data was equally critical. So in this landscape, companies like Walmart, Amazon, Best Buy, where majority of the shopping is happening, become highly relevant. That was one. But number two, Walmart was also a growing share, especially the Walmart Connect part of it. They were trying to take inspiration from how Amazon has built its multi-billion dollar industry. When I joined, I think it was just short of a billion, but now we're like a multi-billion dollar engine. So that gave me the confidence that I'll get to work on A, exciting problems, but B, will be nimble and I'll have like a large portfolio to manage. Yeah, several factors, but I think having another UNC alum, I don't know if you remember some of our UNC folks here, like they were in Walmart Connect. They had great things to talk about the culture of Walmart Connect, and I thought it was the right time to join the ship.
Yeah, definitely. The culture, the opportunity, and then just to be part of something big and influential.
Exactly. Yeah.
Can you talk about your target audience?
Yeah, of course. Imagine you're a parent and you are in the market for buying diapers,
Mm-hmm.
right? And you go onto Walmart.com and you're searching for best diapers for kids, right? And then you see certain top five results as Pampers or like in a competition, you might be trying to make that top five. So we are in that advertising business, allowing people to become part of a conversation when they're very close, but not able to become part of the top five because of whatever reason, right? So if you've been in the market for 10 plus years, you'll have a lot more relevancy, a lot more customer signals. So essentially that'll help you be part of these conversations. But if you're a new player into the market, now all of a sudden there's a way to make yourself into the top five, and that is advertising. And within that specifically, Walmart Connect excels in the sense that Pampers of the world or anyone else, they could be marketing on different channels, right? You could be seeing an ad on Facebook as well, but Pampers wouldn't know whether you saw an ad and then ended up buying the product, and is there a causality between the two? Because Facebook does not have the sales signal,
Mm-hmm.
versus Walmart and Amazon, they do. So that's the whole evolution of retail media. With the loss of these cross-channel signals and deprecation of cookies, which was again a theme back in the day, it made a lot of sense for Pampers to stay top of mind when an advertiser or like when a supplier is trying to drive sales within a region, right? So what Walmart does is it allows Pampers to target people saying, hey, Nishant is a parent, a 2-year-old parent, right? And there are like mini Nishants. If you wanted, you can go and target them.
Mm-hmm.
And in the process, you're able to show a relevant creative to me, like, okay, yeah, put a cute baby wearing Pampers and target me in the right moment with the right language. All of a sudden, you become a relevant competitor in the conversation that I'm trying to have with Walmart.
Mm-hmm.
And all of a sudden, like, yeah, so it's essentially targeting and measurement. Who are we able to go after? And knowing for a fact that they actually bought the product because they saw the ad.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what Walmart Connect does. Any consumer brand out there who's trying to sell something on Walmart.com, they would benefit from advertising along with us. And in the process, we give them audiences to go after so that we make sure that it's a win-win situation for everyone. I would benefit from knowing that there's a great product out there as a shopper, and the supplier benefits from being able to have a conversation with the person in the moment of the decision of purchase. And
Mm-hmm.
Walmart benefits from the fact that they're able to drive like a very strong ecosystem of shopper and supplier in the process.
Got it. So, what is one thing about how consumers actually use Walmart that has surprised the team internally?
I would say one of the biggest factors in the landscape of AI is like how quickly people are adopting AI as an assistant, right? Whether it's inside like a Walmart or Amazon where there's like a mini agent that's able to help you with your birthday planning, right? It's because of ChatGPT, I would say. So they first got exposed to the agentic world through ChatGPT, were wowed with its efficiency at which it's able to answer a question without the end user having to go through 10 different things. So let's say I'm in the market for buying a TV. In the past, I would say, okay, I'll first come to maybe an Amazon or Walmart. I'll search for like uh, uh, best TVs and you get top 10 results. And then start getting exposed to OLED, QLED, or some other technology. Now I'm going back to search and I'm saying, okay, what is OLED? And then I'm searching what is QLED, OLED versus QLED, and then LG versus Samsung. And I'm doing all of this research behind the scenes. And that elongates the overall process, but ChatGPT just reduces the entire journey into like a quick back and forth between whatever conversation you probably would be having with a Best Buy agent in Best Buy, right? All of a sudden they come back and say, wait, first of all, what are you looking for? What do you need? What are your use cases? Post that, they're like, okay, here are the top three. What are you most sensitive to? Right. So all of a sudden it becomes like a back and forth exchange, and it pace at which this adoption has been happening across different channels. That's been the most surprising thing for us. And the models are so powerful that they're able to sit on top of the existing APIs and make it easy for people to make sense of the e-commerce experience as well. So it's not just the Google search experience that's getting disrupted. It's even the e-commerce web app or website experience, because people are no longer saying milk. They're just saying they're talking to a Sparky in our case, or like another agent in case of Amazon, and we're able to just say, okay, reorder the list from last week, or help me plan for my 2-year-old birthday party. And then it becomes a much more engaging experience and focused approach. And in the process, the retailers and suppliers are also having to evolve the way they get the information together
Yeah.
in the back end.
The pace of the research is definitely faster because the availability of a lot of tools to the end consumers. So before they land on the product page, they've already know enough about the product itself, pros and cons. Listen with other providers, right? That could be a challenge for the sellers, right? Because
Yeah.
you need to come up with something really helpful for the shoppers to make a decision faster.
Yeah. And probably not all shoppers were equally efficient or equally educated about the way to research about a product, right? So in the process, everyone had a way to get to different folks in the ecosystem, but everyone now is equipped with an agent who's able to research on their behalf. So on the flip side, the retailer, the website, whoever is trying to get the attention of the end user, they need to be on top of the game. They need to act as if they're being evaluated by the most strictest evaluator out there, and make sure that they are meeting those guardrails. And I mean, people are already getting penalized in the SEO world if you think about it, right? So there was this famous meme that if you want to hide a dead body, hide it in the second page of Google, right? So at least you got a chance to look at top 10 queries. Now it has become like top 2 or top 1 by way of all of these AI modes that we have been exposed to.
Yeah. Let's talk about a recent launch, or you can tell me, like, what is the launch you're most proud of in your product management career?
Yeah, of course. I love my products. I understand now why people keep talking about products as if they're babies. So each of them mean different things to me. They have all taught me different things across my career. But the most recent one has also been the most challenging one. So for context of people who don't belong to the advertising industry, so the suppliers have to decide who are they going after and what kind of messaging or what kind of image to show in that moment, right? And in the process, the traditional approach was there'd be massive research. Like imagine you're a Coca-Cola, right? So you're like saying, okay, 2026 is all about the emotion of love, and love equal to this shade of red. And then based on that, you're able to create campaigns around it. This emotion, this color, this kind of messaging, everything is being thought of ahead of time. And that becomes your marketing assets, including the imagery that goes onto these ads. And that is like a critical part of the display ad ecosystem. And in the process, if you think about it, the people who are able to invest in this sort of branding and creation of a ad creative is the bigger suppliers. And the smaller ones historically did not have a way to compete with them. And even if they're already dealing with like smaller marketing budgets, and they would want more certain channels for advertising. So display became like that, not a low hanging fruit anymore. And how do we bridge the gap between the smaller players and the bigger players, right? And fast forward, we now have the Gen AI systems of the world. And one of the most proudest product that I've been working on for the past couple of years is the automated creative generation. So the way to think about it is suppliers already have their product on the PDP page. They have like different product shots, they have a title, they have some description. And why ask them again about what kind of creative would you want to create, right? So as a Coke, I can imagine that you care about, oh, there are 1,000 shades of red, and I care about this very specific red because that's what I believe is like representative of the true emotion of the world right now, right? But if you're like a very small 3P player, you're probably not thinking so much. You're thinking, if I can get my product in front of the right person at the right time, I will have a great shot at converting them and convincing them about my product. And then the rest of the conversation is about, is my product good enough? Because otherwise it's eventually going to show up in the return rates, etc. Right. So from that sense, the automated creative generation tool that I've been working on, it's about looking at the PDP and then figuring out what is the best creative that we can create for the advertisers so that they can launch their advertising campaigns. So whatever used to take, like if I were a new supplier today and I want to create a creative, I would need to first of all get myself educated about what is Walmart Connect display ad looks like. What are the policies, for instance? For example, we would be okay with someone coming and saying, hey, best diapers in the universe. Cool, go for it. But the moment you say best diapers in the US, that gets flagged because now we need substantiation. And as a three-piece player, I do not have the bandwidth or knowledge of these nuances. I just thought a cool way of talking about my product, but that is not good enough. And I'm going to pay the price in terms of waiting for someone to tell me that it is wrong and go through iterations of how to get it right. So in the process, I'm either looking for a partner who knows this, which means think about like 2 to 4 weeks of identifying partners, getting onboarded, contracts, and then paying them by the creative. Every time there's a new creative, you pay X amount of money and X amount of time. Versus now with automated creative generation, all it takes is like barely 5 minutes of decisioning. You have to say, okay, what item are you trying to sell? What theme are you trying to go after? And which creative do you like? And everything else in the back end is like deciding, hey, okay, a diaper best sits in the living room on a baby. And then beyond that, what is the best emotion to talk about this product? I'll go back and look at the PDP page, talk about how they're talking about themselves and take inspiration from that and play within the constraints of policy and infrastructure in terms of the maximum number of characters that can be held in a headline. All of that is taken care of. And we are barely able to do this in like 5 to 10 minutes. So we're getting down that production time from weeks to minutes. And that is a game changer for all the smaller players. And that gives me a lot of satisfaction that I'm able to make the ground even and democratize this creative generation technology across all players.
This is like a democratizing creative creation because you are cutting down the time. You are also enabling smaller companies to create something which traditionally do not have the bandwidth or budget to do. You automated the whole process, which is good. Is it one-shot process or is it an iterative process?
I love that question because one of the first iterations was around, we'll do everything for you. We're going to give you 10 options. Tell us which one do you like the most. But we had to start with some MVP without knowing which direction to go in. And then at that point, there was this interest from a couple of types of advertisers. One of them was like the bigger players. They're saying, I exactly know what creative I want to generate. Just make it easy for me to generate it versus having to rely on my existing agencies. So for them, they wanted to start with the prompt. They're like, I know exactly what I want. I'm going to talk to your agent and get it to build what I want. There was a second kind that would say, you know what, I like what it has done for me, but I also know a little bit more than what the system does. So I want to play along with it. I don't know enough that I can start on my own, but the moment you expose me to some creatives, I have some additional thoughts. So allow me to bring in my creativity along with the systems. The third one is saying, I have no time or knowledge about this. I'll trust you. As long as you are able to drive performance for me, I'm happy with it. Right. So we started with the lowest of tiers. So saying build everything, just get me the performance. Now we're evolving to the second tier market, which is saying, I would love to be part of this system. And the ones that are really big and are very particular about what they want, they have better tools out there, honestly. Right. So as of today, I would think they would benefit from working with the Canvas and Photoshops of the world and their agents than working with the Amazons or Walmart's creative agent. But there would come a point in time where this generation layer is also taking into account the performance, right? So if I start generating a creative with pink background, another one with blue background, and I have insights around, okay, pink is working with this set of audience and blue is working well with this set of audience, and then I'm able to bake that into my generation process. That's not something a Canva or a Photoshop can have that because I only have the sales signals. So I think at this point in time, we are right fit for the mid to lower tail of the entire ecosystem. But come a day when the underlying models would have caught up in terms of how well they can design and to the cost of generation, where we're able to generate many variants and experiment and figure out what is the best working variant. And three, easy way for us to exploit and explore. The idea is that, okay, give us one variant or approve one variant, and in the process, I'm going to create 10 variants and figure out which of them is working the best. Because I could be playing with the headline all the time. I could be sometimes trying to highlight the convenience. In another case, a low price point. In another case, something else, and figure out what's working best for what audience. And in the process, get like a really strong outcome out of it. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, like to your earlier question, human in the loop is becoming very relevant in the midterm, but long term, it would become one of those mutually beneficial ecosystem where the ones who are decisioning and the agents are going to work together, because the humans bring the human element, but then the agents bring the efficiency and scalability. Together, it can be a very powerful tool. And that's what we'll be hoping to uncover in the next year or two.
Yeah, automated creative generator paired with measurement system can be super powerful because on one side you're automating a lot of creatives, and then how can you tell which one is better? Because eventually the sellers have to care about the units sold in revenue generation. Is your goal or is your North Star optimizing ad spend or some other metrics?
Totally. So, to your point, like the phase one of the product has optimized for how do we reduce the time to create. And once that phase has been solved for, the next phase is focusing on how do we deliver the most value for the end user while producing this creative. And that translates into questions of, okay, how do we have great CTR, the click-through rates, and how do we have great conversions and ROAS, which is the return on ad spend, to your point, right? So, and there are two kinds of approaches for this. One is saying, you know what, for your industry, for your audience, this is the insight. This color always works. Or having like a pet in the creative will always work. But then what would happen when I give this insight to 10 different advertisers at the same time? All of them going after the same market, all of them showing a pet. At some point, it becomes redundant and people will develop ad blindness. So that's where we are optimizing for both the phases. On one end, we're saying, hey, this is the current state of things. This is what is working, right? You could feel free to incorporate it. You could feel free to bring your own expertise because you know your own research, right? You have run the campaign in many other channels. You have some insights, bring that in, or trust us with our insight. But the true long-term play that I want to focus on is allowing advertisers to experiment in real time. Because looking backwards, it's a different thing than like what is that your creative, your product, your headline specifically is able to drive in a given scenario. That's where the exploit and exploration phase begins. We are always going to hypothesize based on the offline insights that, okay, how about I try and add one pet, two pets, a pet in brown color, a pet in black color, right? And all of a sudden, because of every other component in the creative, one color of or one breed of pet might start performing better, and we optimize for that. And that's going to be very unique to your campaign. And that's not something that you're able to just guess based on human intuition. Because you would know what I want to add a pet, and you might then get biased with, oh, you know what? I love golden retrievers and I'll add a golden retriever. But the audience in the market might be completely different, and you would not know. That's where you allow the agent to work on your behalf. You're going to give it high level insights that pets are great. Might be that people typically like golden retrievers, take inspiration from it, but feel free to experiment at that layer. Again, this is far into the future. That's the vision I have, where the system is able to experiment on our behalf and optimize towards the larger goals of CTR and return on ad spend.
Just to summarize what I've heard so far. So one metric we're looking at is time saving. Another metric is return on ad spend. The reason that we need humans in the loop all the time is because the brands are evolving. The brand stories could be changing over time because the larger environment's changing, the end users, consumers are changing, the taste is changing. So that is why you represent your brand. And yes, we are recommending you to do this way, but it is really you to make the decision what your brand voice should be and how your brand look and feel should change over time to make it more appealing to the changing behavior or needs of your end consumers.
Absolutely. So 2 points over there. Like one, the other metric that is equally critical and the closest to the creative is a click-through rate, because that's the part that we're able to control. Everything else, the return on ad spend or any other aspect of the product is going to depend on a lot of other things outside the control of the creative. Because you might be showing the greatest of creative, but what if you land on a page that is not exciting? Or what if your product is underperforming? What if its reviews are bad, right? Or what if the landing page does not have the same product as the one being advertised in the creative, right? So there are things out of our control. So that's where I would want to optimize for CTR, but at the same time with a secondary metric of the return on ad spend, because that's what advertisers care for. Because
Hmm.
then the conversation shouldn't be about, hey, here is the best creative. It should up level and talk about, oh, here is the best way to spend your dollar. I'm
Yeah.
going to give you a dollar, and then everything else should happen behind the scenes. But I want you to get involved in every step of the way, because that's a very interesting other trend. The second point of it, where you're talking about how brands want to get involved.
Hmm.
In most situations, let's say there are 10 Nishants, all of them are going into a Walmart or ChatGPT and saying, give me an idea for throwing a party. I have a 3-year-old, I want a party. That's all. And in all the cases, they're all going to be very similar. People will, at some fundamental first principles level, not appreciate it. They want to believe that the idea being put together is personalized. And that's where working along with the system is what is important. So advertisers, people, I would imagine, like in many scenarios, are not looking to automate everything in their life. They want to make it easy, but they don't want to completely get rid of those actions. Some of them can be boring, I understand. But for the most part, I want to be involved in the high level decision making, and I
Hmm.
want an agent to do the more menial tasks,
Yeah.
right? So that AI assist mode versus AI automation mode is a very important distinction. To your point, like having that human in the loop is absolutely critical for the initial adoption. How will the world evolve once the systems become extremely powerful and extremely self-reliant is a different story. But for now, to get people to really try the product, it's important to make them part of the ecosystem and cater to their personal needs versus treating them like a number.
Yeah, absolutely. We talked about a lot of like changes in AI already, and then retail media. So, is there anything else? Like, what is another under discussed shift you are observing in the retail media area right now?
I think people within the retail media would disagree that this is under discussed. So this is like the hot topic of the hour. But high level, the fundamental shift in the entire economy is very evident. Historically, people have gone into Amazons and Walmarts for specific use cases in mind. So I want electronics, maybe I'll go into Amazon and order something and I'll get back in a couple of days. I want groceries, I'll go to Walmart and optimize, like ask for like milk. I don't need additional decisioning over there. Or like if I'm feeling a little bit more fancy or like I'm in the consideration phase, I might go into Google and say, okay, you know what, like I'm looking for a certain product. What's the best place to buy this? Right. So there were all these different channels that were really in play. But with the new agentic commerce in play, the Perplexities or ChatGPTs or any other platform out there, the way it's evolving into is there's a significant shift of power and decisioning into these agentic systems that are able to make decisions on behalf of the shoppers. So while it's exciting to see people adopt ChatGPT, from a retail media perspective, we're losing important signals in terms of what is it the end user trying to do. We if someone were to start their journey in ChatGPT, all of a sudden all I know is that they're looking for a certain product. The amount of context I will receive as part of this request is going to be minimal, and the amount of eyes or impressions that I'm going to get as part of keep people coming onto my website is going to be even more reduced, right? So it's the same situation with a Google search versus going directly to a Walmart app or Amazon app, right? But the 10x improvement in terms of what a agent is able to do on your behalf compared to a typical search engine, that's the scary part and also exciting part. Now all of a sudden everyone is thinking about this shift in a fundamentally different way depending on your brand affinity. So, for example, you would see the Amazons of the world come in and say, you know what, I have a strong brand, I have a strong user base. They still continue to come to my system as a fundamental, like first choice. So I don't need to go and present my marketplace in another engine because long term it's going to hurt my strategy. Eventually, I don't have a choice but to go there, but I'll protect my landscape as long as I can. And in between, you see a Walmart that's saying, you know what, we'll do both. I can't yet compete with Amazon at that scale of their marketplace or maybe their technology, but I can do the best of both worlds. I'll do a great job in terms of fulfilling, in terms of keeping the lowest price, in terms of catching up on technology, but I also will partner with the OpenAI of the world and try and learn from that experience and find a way to make it a moat relative to Amazon. but at the same time, see if there is anything that I can build for myself within my own mini commerce world. And when I say for Walmart, I'm not representing Walmart by any means. I'm just saying that's how the pure A, B kind of players are thinking about it. The Amazons, Walmarts, and Best Buys of the world. And on the flip side, you'd also see the Temus and Shanes and especially the Shopify of the world who are now saying, you know what, I've been merchant focused. And my biggest challenge has been like getting enough people to pay attention to these merchants. For example, Shopify created this app called Shop, where it was like a mini aggregator and almost like a mini search engine sitting on top of all these marketplaces. But that was not enough. It required people to install the Shop app. But by way of them integrating into Perplexity and OpenAI, now all of a sudden they have attention of the entire world. So once again, touching back our democratization topic, the entire commerce space has become democratized. To an extent, the power has shifted onto the Amazons and Walmarts of the world because of how much demand they can generate. But if it now can, it's like if now, it now becomes a fair game. Everyone can like now be part of the conversation as long as you have the fundamentals right. We can touch upon like what are those fundamentals in a bit, but that's the biggest change that I'm seeing in the retail media space. And everyone is equally anxious as well as thrilled at the same time because every threat comes with a lot of opportunity.
Yeah, definitely. So in your mind, maybe this is a good question. Feel free to touch on the fundamentals you hinted just now. Like 2 to 3 years down the road, do you see AI shopping agents completely replace traditional product search, or will it coexist with a traditional search?
Great question. Honestly, given the pace at which the AI ecosystem is evolving, it's hard to guess what the world will look like in 3 months, I guess, let alone 2 to 3 years. But I would like to believe that there's a place in time for everyone and everything. I can see the innovators and people who are comfortable with offloading decisions to the systems, just automating all their journey as much as possible, right? They're at the far right, and their involvement in the decisioning of commerce, like, for the lack of a better example, right? It'll be limited. So it's almost like the system is suggesting, hey, here is what I think you need in the next week. And they're just like, approve, right? That's what could be happening. And on the flip side, I can also see some of those, I wouldn't say tech averse, but also people who appreciate their own individuality, who today might not think that I will not let a system take over, will continue to protect their individuality because people hate to just become numbers in a system. They want to believe that they have a unique personality. We all might be ordering the same Horizon milk, but I would like to believe that I'm picking the right Horizon milk. Or like we're all getting potatoes, but I would like to believe that I got the best potato, right? So there's some level of inherent motivation to be part of the selection, and that is hard to replace. So I definitely see a world that is much more automated on average and reliant on these systems. And it depends on A, how well are the systems able to navigate this transition from text based to voice and multimodal, right? So I should be able to take a picture and the system should be able to translate it, or I should be able to talk to my Google Home or Alexa and they should be actively be able to shopping for me and do right for me. And in the process, build on my trust over a period of time. So it'll come in phases, and after a point, it becomes secondhand. It's just like self-driving cars or phones or any other technology. When it's new, you need to get a lot of things right for a lot of time before you're not penalized for a mistake you might make. Today, I won't trust the ChatGPTs of the world for my work. I will use them, but I'm always making it evaluate itself, making another agent evaluate it. I'm evaluating it because I know it gets it wrong and constantly nudging it to do the right thing. But I can see the value in it. So I feel like that's the same thing that's going to happen in the commerce space. People will trust agents. The agents will make mistakes, but in the process, the entire ecosystem evolves. And eventually, we'll have the adopters that are fundamentally automating everything about commerce, and the other side of the world, which is like going to use it as a secondary assistant that's able to help them scale and, yeah, find the best product for them.
Last week, Amazon launched the new feature called Just Ask Me.
Mhm.
What it does was basically they put a podcast style audio version on their PDP. They talk about what the product does. And what's more interesting is you can raise your hand there's a hand raising icon. Once you click on it, you can ask a question and your question can get answered immediately. So as a product manager for many years, what are your thoughts? What do you think? Why is the innovation and where Amazon is heading towards?
I thought it was a very cool innovation and very much in line with how the consumer behavior has been evolving for the past 5 to 10 years, if you think about it. We used to be great readers at one point, and then we got swamped with Instagram, where it became a photo, and eventually it became video, right? So shorter videos and quicker gratifications. And if you think about it in that lens, a PDP is long and it's disparate, and it could be different parts of the ecosystem where I may not have the time to go through everything. But a mini agent sitting on top of the PDP page, whether it is textual or audio, first of all, is able to abstract some of the less exciting facts. But on the flip side, it's also making it easy for me to consume by way of translating into a voice system, right? And I can see a couple of ways in which this is going to evolve. Like on the modality itself, as we move from text to audio, I can also see a world where we will move from audio to video / augmented reality, where people are able to now interface with the underlying e-commerce websites or any page through a AR system and completely hands off, right? And in the process, it becomes important that our pages are being created with the intention of eventually being wrapped around by voice agents and visual agents. That's A. And also B, I would think like as we start relying more on agents and the stochastic nature of all these agents starts coming down, and the accuracy of the smart home assistants like the Google Home and Alexa's become more stronger, I can see us interacting with these agents in the voice mode, right? And in the process, Amazon, while is focusing on PDP for now, I can easily see it getting integrated with the Amazon Alexa ecosystem and potentially creating like a standard for how websites can make audio friendly content that can become accessible across all shopping agents that are voice based. And in the process, yeah, I think it can drive standardization, it can drive multimodality, but most importantly, it's continuing to get closer and closer to how the end user is going to be shopping with these systems.
For the brands to win in this AI-driven commerce era, which part is most important? Is it product? Is it content? Or is it the data infrastructure feeding to the AI systems?
Of course, product. What do you mean? No, I'm kidding. So I would say, unfortunately, it's all of them, right? So to our earlier discussion, we are now moving from an era of a shopper with limited time, limited resources, and limited knowledge to everyone being equipped with this superpower agent that's good at everything. I mean, again, it's an inherently stochastic system as of today, right? I understand that it can get some of the basics wrong. It does not return the same answer every single time. And that's a problem that gets solved over time, definitely. But by the end of it, you're now talking about, if you're talking about the US market, about 300 to 400 million users, all of them with powerful agents, and all the agents exactly know what a Nishanth or a Gwen cares about and what exactly to look for in the market to find the best product that will make me happy. So in this end state, you don't have a choice but to do well on every front. Because if you're not, someone else is, because every part of the ecosystem is now powered by an agent, by AI. It's not just the buyer's part of it, the supply part of it. The PDP is now being generated by an AI content creator, right? The product decisioning is being supported by uh, an agent of sort, because I could be in the past making some mistakes around what logo to put on my packaging or how to shoot my product shot, but that will not be the case once you have like AI to help you out, because every step of the way you have like the smartest of that particular profession helping you out. So what it means is, a we have to have the best product, best content, and best data infrastructure. And the reason for that is an AI agent is, end of the day, a program, and programs appreciate structure. And if you get the foundational data structure or API structure wrong, it makes it difficult for you to show up on the right places and in the right context. For the lack of a better term, it's the same thing as SEO. If you're not targeting the right keywords, if you're not building your pages on the right fundamentals, it doesn't show up. It doesn't get crawled, it doesn't build the trust factor, etc. Right? So for that reason, the data infrastructure becomes really important. And the same thing applies to content, Because in the past, like you could get away with like a simple PDP page describing like 3 or 4 sentences about your product. But now, if your aim is to become part of this whole AEO ecosystem where you're optimizing for the agents, now you need to have an answer for all the different kinds of questions that a product user might have. And that means like you have like much longer PDPs or much structured websites and a lot more meaningful content that's catering to different sizes. In some cases, I might need like a short 40-word answer, or in another case, I might need a long answer because I'm trying to help someone understand how to like probably do plumbing. If your product has that information, now it becomes like a relevant part of this conversation, right?
Right.
So for that reason, content also becomes equally important. But third and foremost, like towards the end, the product, right? So let's say you successfully game the system somehow. You became part of a conversation. Someone bought your product and they returned the product, or they talked negatively about your product on the internet, on Twitter, on LinkedIn, or somewhere else. Now the agents are once again listening to the web as well. They can at some point you could get away with putting off reviews, right? Like I know like in Shopify, for instance, people have these different ways to get reviews for your product on your website. But if someone is low on time or naive, they'll trust the reviews themselves versus going on to Reddit or Twitter. But if your agent now can go beyond your website, it's going to look for any negative or positive reviews about your product across the internet. So it is important for you to get the right product as well and right offline experience. And that is, I would think, the biggest moat in this world where everyone is equipped with software, everyone is like has a superpower in every direction. What you can bring to the table is the discipline and customer centricity in terms of how you are designing things, how you're delivering things, and how you're catering for the consumer in the process so that it doesn't feel like a agent talking to an agent, but we're able to bring back that human emotion into the loop.
Yeah, well said. Customer centric is the same pre AEO world, AEO world.
Yeah,
But what's changed is you have to be both customer centric now plus AI centric. You have to present your product in a way that, you need good storytelling skills to talk about your product in a good structure that AI can extract
hmm
information, as well as you need to set up a good infrastructure for your web pages so that it's easier to crawl. And then in addition to that, you need to make the best product to meet your customers because AI will go to a lot of places to read your reviews, not just on your own domain, but as you correctly pointed out, on Reddit and then G2 Crowd, YouTube as well. So in order to get a consistent or holistic view of your products. So the bar is higher right now. You need to make sure both your customers' needs are met, as well as make it easier for AI to understand your value proposition.
absolutely. I mean, I couldn't agree more in the sense that it is so easy to create software these days. And the only differentiator that's going to remain is how thoughtful you are at every step of the way. Because in the past, you could have gotten away with, yo, you know what? Like, I'm running a business. I don't have time for these tiny details. But now you're no longer running the business. You have so many agents that are able to help you. So then use that extra time to put that extra thought that's going to experience for your end user, right? Sometimes it's not failing. Sometimes it's like creating that wow experience. And both of them are equally important, right? So yeah, I'm excited for this world. Again, I'm not one of the biggest adopters of tech when it comes to offloading all my decision making, but I'm still eager to see how people will adopt these technologies in the upcoming future.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Nishan. This was such a rich conversation. I appreciate you joining me.
Yeah, thanks so much, Gwen. Thanks for having me.